Welcome to the California Arts Council Creative Youth Development Grant Overview presentation. My name is Natalie Peoples, and I am a program specialist for the CAC. My pronouns are she, her. We would like to begin by carrying forward the California Arts Council practice of recognizing the original people and caretakers of these sacred lands within and throughout the region we now refer to as Sacramento, the location of the CAC offices, and the space from which we are offering you this workshop today. The California Arts Council stands in solidarity with all of California's Indigenous people. We acknowledge that our work takes place on the now occupied traditional lands of the Miwok, Maidu, and Nisenan people, who are the past, present, and future stewards of this place. We make this first step in our journey to develop relationships and cultural competencies to truly support Native sovereignty. For closed captions, click the closed caption button within your viewing platform. We have a lot to cover in our time together. Here's a brief overview. We'll start with the CAC website, grant pages, and additional applicant resources. Then we'll cover general eligibility and general budget requirements. We'll introduce the Creative Youth Development Grant Program, go over how to apply and application criterion, budget snapshots and artistic work samples, and go over deadlines and staff contact information. You can find information about all of our programs on our website, arts.ca.gov, by clicking on the Grants tab. Funding opportunities and individual programs are listed under the Grant Programs and Applications section. Each program has a landing page that contains a brief description of the program, contact information, links to download the guidelines, and other information. Below lists the grant program manager's name, and you can also find a link to email them directly. We also have a grant resources page where you can find additional information around our fiscal sponsorship policy, online application login and registration process, FAQs, ranking guide, and virtual office hours hosted via Zoom. Each grant category has program-specific eligibility and project requirements, so make sure to review the guidelines carefully, but there are some general eligibility criteria to keep in mind. Applicants must be nonprofit organizations, units of municipal or county government, or eligible organizations with a California-based nonprofit fiscal sponsor. Units of government also include California Native or Indigenous tribal governments. All activities and organizations, including fiscal sponsors, must be based in California. All applicant organizations, including fiscal sponsors, must be able to demonstrate a 2-year history of arts programming and/or services in California. General budget requirements are as follows. If your organization has a total operating revenue above $250,000, the sum of requests for CAC grants during the same year of funding cannot exceed 50% of the total operating revenue for the most recently completed fiscal year. All programs have a maximum eligible request amount, and this grant does not require matching funds. Now I will provide an overview of the Creative Youth Development Grant. Beneficiaries of this program include youth from infancy to 24 years of age. All projects should occur outside of traditional school hours, taking place in arts venues, community centers, school sites, and other youth-oriented settings. The maximum request amount is $40,000 over 2 years, and no matching funds are required. Current 2022 CYD grantee organizations are not eligible to apply for this grant. For step-by-step instructions on how to register your organization through our grants management system, Smart Simple, and how to apply, please review the 2022 grant application website and registration overview. This overview can be found on our grant resources page. Each application is reviewed by a pool of panelists. The panel's rankings are based on the review criteria in the guidelines. All of our programs include centering community artists and accessibility review criteria. The other review criteria are all program specific. There is language defining each criterion in the guidelines and the application that the panelists will use to assess each criterion. The first criterion is centering community artists. In this section, organizations should demonstrate experience, capacity, and ongoing commitment to engage and uplift historically and systemically under-resourced communities, excluded and erased artists, cultural practitioners, or arts and cultural practices. This experience, capacity, and ongoing commitment should be reflected throughout the proposal. The second criterion is program design and implementation. In this section, organizations will indicate clear artistic and community-based objectives, achievable goals, a realistic timeline, and appropriate budget. Design includes methods to evaluate and measure success, collect and analyze data, and document activities. The third criterion is artistic merit. In this section, organizations will demonstrate that California artists are involved at every stage of the project design and execution and demonstrate skills, expertise, and experiences that are central to the goals of the project. The fourth criterion is community engagement and social impact. In this section, the project demonstrates reach and/or depth of engagement in an identified community. Project execution and evaluation involve significant community participation in accordance with the identified project outcomes. The last criterion is accessibility. In this section, organizations will demonstrate that its programs, services, information, and facilities where funded activities are to take place, including online spaces, will be accessible for individuals with disabilities, including but not limited to individuals who are deaf, hard of hearing, deaf-blind, have difficulty speaking, have a physical disability, visual disability, developmental disability, learning disability, mental illness, or chronic illness. All applicants will complete 2 budget tables. The first is the budget snapshot, which includes revenue and expenses for the past 2 fiscal years. The most recent year should match this field in your application. The second is the project budget table. This is required for project-based grants and includes personnel expenses, operating and production expenses, and the total of all expenses should equal the total CAC request amount. This grant requires the submission of artistic work samples. You'll want to make sure that artistic work samples are recent and relevant to the project proposal. Choose a medium that best fits your proposed project outcomes, and provide no more than 3 samples, and each type of work sample has instructions on length. Additional work samples or samples that exceed the requested length will not be considered by the panelists. And finally, clearly label your work and give the panelists any relevant contextual or medium information in the work samples note field in the application. Please know that work samples will not receive higher or lower ranks based on their production quality. For example, a video taken on your phone is just as good as a video taken on a digital camera for ranking purposes. Lastly, mark your calendars. The deadline for the Creative Youth Development Grant is January 26th at 11:59 p.m. No exceptions will be made. All application components must be uploaded and completed by the deadline. We cannot accept any additional materials or information past the application deadline, so please plan ahead. We highly encourage you to review our extensive FAQ page for additional information. If you have a specific question that's not covered in the FAQs, feel free to contact me at natalie.peoples@arts.ca.gov. This concludes today's CAC presentation. Thank you for the work that each of you are doing, improving the lives of Californians through the arts. We look forward to continuing with you on this journey and seeing your application submissions. Thank you and have a great day.